Line 'em up, 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 line 'em up, 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 line 'em up, up, up. All right, guys. So we've been working with COAS and our Line 'em Up song, and we have already taken care of learning how to compare whole numbers, and we've already done ordering whole numbers, but so far we've only done ordering 3 different whole numbers from either least to greatest or greatest to least. In this video, we're going to step it up a notch. We're going to see what happens when we have 4 whole numbers that we're working with. And so there is kind of like a step-by-step you can follow if you're struggling, or just kind of a nice guide. First of all, we want to make sure that we do that brick wall, and that's basically to help our eyeballs focus a little bit. We want to make sure we make a template for our answer. We want to make sure that wherever we put the numbers in our answer, it is actually answering the question that it's asking. To help us with that, we're going to want to make sure that we talk to the text. If it says order them from least to greatest, we want to pay attention to that. If it says from greatest to least, we want to pay attention to that too. And that's going to help us to make our template. Of course, then we want to line up our numbers, place values directly underneath similar place values. And then we want to go through, just like we did with comparing and ordering before, and look at them. And honestly, guys, I recommend going period by period. Once you have a bunch of numbers, it definitely simplifies things a little bit. And we want to put these numbers into our answer template. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. First of all, we want to make sure that we can understand what all this stuff means. And if you look, I have these semicolons here. So I'm going to go ahead and put my brick walls in. That's going to help my eyeballs see those 4 separate numbers. So I've taken care of my brick wall. I now want to make a template, and to help me do that, I know I'm going to be putting these 4 numbers in order. So I'm going to make a spot here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have my 4 numbers there. And I'm going to go ahead and talk to the text so I can figure out is it least to greatest or greatest to least. In this case, it is telling me to put them in order from least to greatest, which means this one here is going to be my least, and this one up here is going to be my greatest. Now what that means is this one here is going to be my second least, and this one here is going to be my second greatest. So you're going to kind of see like these are the most least, this is the most greatest, and then a little bit least. Okay, if that makes sense to you. So now we need to make sure that we go ahead and line them up. And this I'm going to try and do as quickly and as neatly as I can. It's really hard for me to write with this pen on the computer, so I'm going to talk to you while I'm doing it. And you'll notice that all 4 of my numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, are all 6-digit numbers. So they're all going to line up really, really nicely. So we have 890,146. And just take a look, I'm lining things up directly. And I want to continue to do that. I like to use the comma as a guide. So I have 913,000, lining everything up, 185. And last but not least, I have 903,000, 903 in the thousands period with my comma, and 935. And honestly, guys, one of the things that I've noticed is sometimes our comma can look like a 1. And so what I like to do, honestly, is draw a line down to separate my periods. And that was not going to do nothing more than help my eyeballs focus a little bit. So now we're going to go ahead, we're going to start on the left-hand side, and we're going to go period by period. And I'm paying attention. I'm either trying to find the least number or the greatest number. So I have 892, 890, 913, and 903. And what I notice is all of them are different. So this is actually going to be as far as I need to go. I first want to look, can I see one that's either the least or the greatest? And when I look, I can see like the 800s are less than the 900s. So these are definitely going to be the 2 least. These are definitely going to be the 2 greatest. I'm just going to put an L and a G here. And so I know that these 2 are actually going to fit in these 2 slots. So 892 versus 890. Well, the one that says 890, that's going to be the very least. And that says 890,146. So that takes care of that number. And then I know these 2 were the 2 least, so I can actually put this next one, 892,495 over here, and that takes care of that one. Now I know these 2 are going to be the greatest 2. The super duper grand champion, that's going to be the one with the greatest thousands periods. That would be 913,185, and cross that out. I use that. And I have no other choice but to put this number here, 903,935. And then I'm just going to take a second to look and make sure my answer makes sense. 890,000 is the least, then 892,000, 903,000, and 913,000. Looking good. All right, let's go ahead and try this one. First off, I'm going to stick my brick walls in here. Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to make a template. I have 4 different numbers, so I'm going to need 4 different spaces. And I'm going to talk to the text to figure out least to greatest or greatest to least. This time we are going from greatest to least. So I have a G over here down to an L over here. And of course that's going to be the second greatest and the second least. So now I'm going to go ahead and line them up. Again, it's going to take me a little while, but what I know is all of these are 5-digit numbers, and so they are going to all line up really, really nicely. So this one is 34,013. This one is also 34,189 here in the ones period. And last but not least, I have 34,000. And this is 298. And I hope you write neater than I do. I really struggle with this. Again, the best thing that I can recommend that you do at this point is to say, okay, here's where my thousands period separates from my ones period. So you can even label them ones and thousands. So I'm going to go to my thousands period first. I have 34, 34, 34, 34. 4-way tie. This thousands period doesn't help me at all. But if you look here, I have 4 different numbers here. And I want to see if any of them stand out to me. Like I can look, and 13 is definitely the least of all of them. So this is going to be the least. And when I look, 298 is greater than the other 2. So this one's definitely going to be the greatest. So I'm going to go ahead and fill those in. So I have 34,013, and that's going to go where the L is because that's the least. I'm going to cross that off. And then the one that I saw was the greatest right off the bat was 34,298. So now I've taken care of 2 of them, and I have 2 left. And I know that the one that's going to go here is the greater of these 2. Well, 205 is greater than 189. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one in that G space right here. So that's 34,205. And then over, that was terrible, sorry, 205. And then over here is my final one. I want to make sure I don't repeat any, 34,189. And again, I just want to double check, does this make sense? Is 34,298 really the greatest? Because we need to make sure we're not going from least to greatest instead of greatest to least. And this looks great. All right, we're going to go ahead and do one last one, starting with my brick wall right at my semicolons here so I can see the 4 numbers. I'm going to go ahead and make a template, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to go ahead and talk to the text here. This one is going to go from the loser to the grand champion. So this one is our loser, and over here is our grand champion. This is going to make our second loser and our second grand champion here. Let's go ahead and line them up. So I'm going to start with this first one. And I notice this says, I'm going to kind of space these out a little bit so it's easier for me to write. Nice and spaced out. I notice this is another 6-digit number, so that shouldn't be too hard for me to fill in and line up place value by place value directly underneath the other one. But this one I'm noticing is a 5-digit number. My comma is going to be in the same place, but this 9 is not in the 100,000s place. It's only in the 10,000s place, so it's actually going to go here. So I have to pay attention to these things. We need to make sure that when we line them up, each place value lines up directly underneath the correct place value. I can right now say, oh, I don't have any 100,000s. I'm going to fill in a 0 there. And then this last number has 6 digits as well and goes all the way to the 100,000s place. So 387. So I'm going to go ahead and start by separating my thousands and my ones. So you can see I have my ones and my thousands. And when I take a look, I have 109, 100, 97, and 100. And I kind of got to ask myself, do any of those stand out as being different? Maybe it's different because it's least or different because it's greatest. Well, 109 is the greatest of all of those. So I know this one is going to be the very grand champion. And this 97 is less than all of them. So that's going to be the least. So I can go ahead and fill those in right where my template tells me to do that. So that goes as my least, and I'm done with that. And then for my greatest over here, my grand champion is the 109,395. So that takes care of those two right off the bat. But I noticed that this one has 100 and this one has 100. And I can't really compare those because they're the same. So that's not going to help. I need to go here. And I see 486 and 387. Well, 387 is less than 486. So where they have the little g, I'm going to put 100,486. And where I have the little L, I'm going to put the other one, 100,387. And I need to double check this makes sense. 97,000 is definitely the least compared to 100,000 or 109,000, which is definitely the grand champion. So it's now time for you to try some on your own. Check in with Mrs. Phillips. She'll let you know what to do. Great job.